This is further evidence that moving us to stage 5, the most open stage, was wrong.
As Indiana once again sees a new record high in daily COVID cases, a former state health commissioner and current candidate for governor opposing the state's response to spiking activity. And a second neighbor to Indiana putting us down on an advisory. The WRTV insiders talk about what enforcement looks like on quarantines when leaving for other states. And rain or shine, Hoosiers continue to line up around the block to vote with weeks left until Election Day. We'll have expert perspective on how tonight's dueling town halls could look.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5, streaming now.
I'm Amanda Starantino, and tonight we are tracking the pace of COVID-19 in Indiana and how it will affect you in the weeks and months to come. For yet another time today, the state topped its record for the highest daily reported cases. The State Department of Health reported 1,962 new cases of the virus today. That puts our moving average of daily cases at over 1,600. Our positivity rate is climbing as well. For unique individuals, it's now at 9.9%. We are also checking in on where these cases are popping up. This week, Fountain County has been up at level red for its increase in cases and positivity rates. The positivity rate there is nearly 19%, and a line of counties to the east side of the state have all gone up to level 2. Orange status. Blackford, Delaware, Henry, and Fayette all have positivity rates on the rise. And the state also reports 23 new deaths of people with COVID-19. Not all of those happened in one day. Some happened as far back as September 27th. Since the start of the pandemic, 3,632 Hoosiers have died with the virus.
It is so important that we have a united front, all of us in this community, to promote public health in our community and to protect our loved ones and our friends.
And Marion County Public Health Director Dr. Virginia Kane encouraging everyone to continue to wear masks and maintain social distancing in order to keep our county's numbers low. Today, she and Mayor Joe Hogsett announced the county will be staying where it is in regards to rules and restrictions meant to curb the spread of the coronavirus. The mayor says Marion County's numbers have not worsened like some have, but they don't want to undo all the good work that's been done. Marion County sits at about a 5% positivity rate, and our rate is down. Today, Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb says he has tested negative for the coronavirus. This after State Health Commissioner Dr. Christina Box announced that she had COVID-19 along with her daughter and young grandson. This week, Holcomb extended Indiana's mask mandate for at least another month, but he says right now the state will not backtrack into stricter stages of Indiana's Back on Track plan. He also says there could be reconsiderations on shutdowns if cases and hospitalizations don't get under control. Governor Holcomb's Democratic challenger in the upcoming election says the state should be rolling back reopening plans to battle the rise in new cases. Dr. Woody Myers is also a former state health commissioner. He told reporters today that allowing each county to craft their own responses to the pandemic shows a lack of leadership at the state level. He also says the spike in cases means Indiana needs to reimpose some restrictions. And more than 216,000 Americans have died from COVID-19 since the pandemic began, according to Johns Hopkins University. And much of the country is seeing another surge in cases and hospitalizations. Health experts now saying holiday plans may need to be revisited. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
It was many health experts' growing fear for months, and now it appears it could be our reality. A surge of COVID-19 cases as we head into cooler weather.
It's quite concerning. We have a baseline of daily infections at approximately 50,000 per day.
38 states plus Washington, D.C. seeing a rising number of new cases, and 6 states setting records for hospitalizations. Several funeral homes in El Paso, Texas, adding extra mortuary refrigerators.
So that way we have enough capacity to hold all the deaths that are are happening here in El Paso.
The city announcing new coronavirus restrictions to help stop the spread as they battle record-breaking numbers.
Restaurants will be limited to takeout and drive-through only. Bars are still closed.
Meantime, the Trump administration has reportedly embraced the unsupported idea of herd immunity, which would allow the coronavirus to spread among young, healthy people while protecting the vulnerable. But many health professionals say it's not a good strategy.
So this idea that we have the power to protect the vulnerable is total nonsense. You'll wind up with many more infections of vulnerable people, which will lead to hospitalizations and death.
Europe also facing a surge, Spain and Italy seeing record numbers of new cases, France implementing a nationwide state of health emergency, and in the UK, the ICU and COVID-19 wards at this hospital in Warrington, England, nearly full.
Rates of infections are really high. People are still ending up in hospital. So no, it's not just a simple cold. It's much worse than that.
With Thanksgiving not too far off, Dr. Fauci says families may need to bite the bullet and possibly cancel indoor family gatherings, especially if you have vulnerable people with underlying conditions in your home. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
After a pretty peaceful few weeks, we've got a lot going on today in your forecast. You probably had a pretty wet and gloomy day. Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is here to talk more about what we need to look out for tonight. Hey, Kevin.
Amanda, wet and gloomy is beautiful and beautiful because of the dry stretch that we've been on, no doubt about that. There's the steely gray sky. It definitely looked and felt like fall, didn't it? Still does. The rain is starting to push to the south and east. We had enough rain, though, to end the streak. 0.18 of an inch. That's our rain total. So for 57 days, we had not had a day where we had 1/10 of an inch of rain or more until today. We'll have to start a new streak. To the south and east, you can see the rain pulling away. The clearing line is back to the west. There's definitely been some thinner spots in the cloud cover. That's why it's warmer in Lafayette and Terre Haute, in the 40s from Indy really all the way to the east. Temperatures tonight by midnight down to 45. The headline for the night, a freeze warning. We'll talk about how cold, the hours of the freeze warning, and how we turn things around as we head into the weekend. That's all still to come.
Indiana has now been added to Ohio's travel advisory. The Ohio Department of Health is recommending a 14-day quarantine when traveling to Ohio from Indiana. That's according to ODH's new COVID-19 travel advisory map released Wednesday. Other states included in Ohio's advisory include Nevada, Kansas, Wyoming, Iowa, Wisconsin, Idaho, and South Dakota. The advisory comes just one day after Chicago issued an emergency travel order for Hoosiers. And as expected, there's a lot of confusion over the pending plan to require you to quarantine in Chicago if you plan to visit the Windy City. WRTV's political insiders say this will be tough to enforce.
I want to ask you about the city of Chicago now asking Hoosiers to enter their city beginning Friday to quarantine. What does that say about us, and what does it say about what Chicago is now doing?
It's largely symbolic, but the symbolism is striking. All we've heard from Republicans in this state for the last 12 years, 14, 16 years is how much better Indiana is than Illinois on all these metrics. And now Illinois is saying, you guys can't control your virus. You can't control things. We don't want you coming into our state. And it's the same thing that's happening on the national level. Americans are not allowed to travel to Europe. They're not allowed to travel about anywhere else in the world because we're not being responsible.
Mayor Lightfoot is one of the least effective mayors in the country, and has just allowed her city to run rampant over the last several months since the end of May. So I'm not necessarily encouraged by her leadership and the leadership of her state, but certainly there's some symbolic, some symbolism that goes along with this, that Hoosiers have got to take this seriously.
People travel over the holidays. People want to be with their family members and their loved ones. And I would not be surprised to see more of these type of recommendations that are coming out to people.
Can this really be enforced as people, really, it's the big city, right? People travel to it all the time.
I grew up in Northwest Indiana. It's completely unenforceable. People travel all across, but at the same time, if I'm sitting in Chicago, I understand why she's saying it. You've got Wisconsin north of you that has a similar relationship, frankly, near the state line. And so you want to try to protect people. Wisconsin's skyrocketing. Our numbers are going up. And so, I appreciate that the governor wasn't flippant about it. And, you know, I've appreciated his leadership on this, particularly in the spring. I was really proud of him. I just think that now we've got to, you know, we got to clamp back down, and nobody wants to do it, but it's what has to happen.
These are our political insiders. We thank them a great deal. And our coverage of Democracy 2020 continues right now, WRTV.
And in Democracy 2020, it's really picking up speed in sunshine and definitely in rain. Hoosiers are turning out to vote early. Still weeks to go till Election Day. Now, these Marion County voters standing outside with their rain gear at the ready as they waited at the polls at the City County building today. Right now, that's the only location where you can vote early in Marion County. But starting next Saturday, the 24th, several more locations around the county will open up. And with Election Day just 19 days away, a record 16 million Americans have already cast their ballots in nearly every state. Voters have shown up in record numbers to vote early. President Trump continuing to hold large rallies despite growing coronavirus concerns. And tonight, he and Joe Biden will participate in dueling town hall events. Trump and Biden will answer questions from voters tonight at each event. Stick around with us on WRTV tonight to watch the Joe Biden town hall. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. and we'll have recaps of both town halls right after that on the news at 11 here on WRTV. We'll also have stories on both those town halls online in our elections guide, where you can also find out when and where you should head to the polls. We have everything you need at WRTV.com/election2020. It's a safe space where you can get the job done. Still ahead on WRTV, a local effort to put community into the workplace and how it's adapting to the age we're living in right now. And has 2020 been so bad, you just want to take a rocket ship right out of this world, huh? Well, even if this deal sounds amazing, we have a warning for you to keep you grounded.
And showers gradually leaving southeastern Indiana, Greensburg right now, Decatur County with some light rain. We'll talk about what's arriving through the weekend coming up.
Unemployment claims saw a large spike in Indiana last week, but there may be an explanation besides layoffs caused by the ongoing pandemic. The Department of Labor says more than 28,000 Hoosiers applied for regular unemployment benefits last week. That was a dramatic increase from the 10,000 Hoosiers who filed the week before. Another 11,000 Hoosiers filed for pandemic unemployment assistance last week. The state says the increase may have to do with timing. Scott Olson with the Department of Workforce Development sent us this statement. He says the increase is, quote, likely elevated due to a requirement that claimants refile initial claims to continue on federal benefit programs. The Indy Black Chamber of Commerce is working to support business owners during the pandemic as they open a new co-working space downtown. It's called Chamber 465 and is located on Market Street. It has all the tools business owners need, like Wi-Fi, printers, and networking opportunities. The Indy Black Chamber will also host classes and workshops there. There are sanitizing stations and partitions between workspaces to keep people safe.
This is an opportunity for all minority businesses, all businesses, period, to come together to find the resources that they need and the support that they need. Especially during COVID, we're losing so many businesses. They need our support.
The Indy Black Chamber is offering these workstations to business owners for free until the end of the year. If they like it and want to continue using it, it will be $185 a month starting in 2021. Kevin.
Well, Amanda, I'm staring to the west and the northwest because what we'll see there is the clearing line eventually reaching central Indiana. We're in our transition. The transition won't be complete until we hit rock bottom tomorrow morning. With clear skies and a light wind, we'll have temperatures at or below freezing in many spots. The departing area of showers, you see a pretty sharp line to that from, say, Seymour through Columbus to Rushville and nearly Richmond in Wayne County. Those will continue to slide to the south and east. See over north central portions of Illinois. The lack of gray there represents the clear sky. we'll see the clouds continue to thin as we go through the evening hours. So there are your headlines, gradually clearing as the rain moves out. The wind will not be as strong. It'll be light out of the northwest as we go through the night. All of these factors coming together for the coldest night so far this fall. Temperature 55 in Lafayette, where we've had some thin spots in the cloud cover. 44 in Richmond, where the clouds are hanging in there, and the showers anywhere under that cloud cover shield and with showers, temperatures have been in the 40s. 33 in Indianapolis. Outlying areas will be colder. Take your pick, basically 30 to about 33 degrees. Most of central Indiana as we go through the night tonight into the morning hours tomorrow. Temperatures right at that freezing mark for the first time. Wouldn't be surprised if a couple outlying areas did make it into the upper 20s. We'll recover. Temperatures by 8 a.m. kind of hitting their lowest point. Still in the 30s though at 9. By noon, lower 50s and your afternoon high tomorrow. In the upper 50s, the wind will be west at around 10 with partly sunny skies. A good night for Friday night football. What you would expect this time of year. You'll definitely need a jacket. Temperatures falling into the 40s in many spots. As you look at the weekend, first half of the weekend may be the best half to get some yard work done. Try to tackle those leaves, but you're going to need a strategy. If you're trying to rake the leaves on Saturday, the winds will gust over 30 miles per hour. So you'll have to kind of rake with the wind instead of into the wind. Our chance for showers Monday and Tuesday as well. Temperatures back into the 70s as you can see early next week. And there's hope beyond the 7-day forecast to continue with opportunities for more rain. Amanda?
Thank you, Kevin. Looking for a holiday gift to take someone's mind off all the problems on Earth this year? Well, you can now buy a piece of another planet. Consumer reporter John Matarese is going to tell us if this is real or another scam, so you don't waste your money.
With the pandemic stretching across the globe and no major country unaffected, wouldn't it be nice if you could buy a place on another planet? Well, maybe you can. Mel Winter was looking for deals on Groupon the other day when she came upon this.
I saw it was buy an acre from Mars, and I thought, how does that work?
It was a half-price deal on 1 acre of land on Mars, the planet, not the candy bar. No, it won't cost you $1 million, just $15. And Melody would even get an ownership deed.
At first I thought, would my acre appreciate? And I thought, well, if they land on the Mars, would they put a building on my land? And then I thought, wait a minute, who owns Mars?
Now, if this sounds vaguely familiar, it might be because you remember radio commercials from a few years back saying you could buy a star up in the heavens and have that star named after you or a family member. Astronomer Dean Regis told me at the time the International Astronomical Union is the only group that can name anything in outer space. This does not meet their requirements. But with a pandemic, protests, and anger across the globe these days, he thinks Mars might not be so bad.
Going to Mars is one of those things that could do that too, is that it could bring people together and say, you know, this is something that humans have been striving to do and we can do it.
As for whether this offer is real, the fine print says it all. It's a novelty gift for entertainment purposes only. So it's not a scam. You'll get a certificate with your name on it. Just don't try to move to your new plot of land so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese, WRTV.
Well, this Thursday's Throwback, a story of what was very nearly a tragedy here in Indiana involving one of the country's greatest musicians. 35 years ago this week, legendary singer and songwriter Ray Charles escaped serious injury in an accident involving his plane. Back in 1985, Charles was scheduled to play a concert as part of a homecoming at Indiana University, but heavy rain hit the area just as his plane was landing at the Monroe County Airport. The plane skidded off the runway and into a cornfield. Luckily, there were no serious injuries, and former WRTV reporter Greg Todd spoke to members of Ray Charles's band and crew, grateful that everyone was okay.
Ray Charles was sitting in the back of the plane playing chess on a Braille game board when the accident occurred.
He had walked to the front and got in the crowd, in the middle of the crowd, and I pulled him out of the crowd and told him to come with me and walked him out the back door. And then me and my brother took him on up the hill.
The entertainer was not injured, but badly shaken up.
I mean, everybody was, plane crash,
Well, you can read more about this story and see all of our Throwback Thursday stories at WRTV.com/history. Some people get hit hard by this virus. Others don't even show a sign of being infected. Now, scientists believe they may hold a key piece of the puzzle. The blood type, they say, reduces your chance of getting sick with COVID-19. That's next on WRTV. It's starting to look like people with type O blood may have an advantage in the global pandemic. They may be less vulnerable to catching coronavirus, and if they do catch it, they are less likely to get really sick from it. One Danish study found among more than 470,000 people tested for coronavirus, only 38% with blood type O tested positive, even though 41% of the population have type O blood. And a Canadian study found among 95 patients critically ill with COVID-19, a higher proportion with blood type A or AB needed mechanical ventilation compared with patients with blood group O or B. And the research gives further evidence blood type may play a role in someone's susceptibility to infection and just how serious their illness is. The reasons for this link are not clear, and experts say more research is needed. And the pandemic has forced many companies to lay off workers. Now thousands of Hoosiers are at risk of losing their home. Working for you, what you can do to protect yourself. That's tonight at 6. And a different kind of debate. We bring the insiders back to talk about what could be ahead in tonight's dueling town halls from two presidential candidates. That's still ahead on the news at 5:30 right here on WRTV.